On the PBA road, Chris Barnes and Mika Koivuniemi room together. Today, they even carpool to work together. But for now, the buddy system is over. They face off next in PBA action from Ohio. Chris Barnes couldn't bear to watch himself bowl on TV for much of this season, but he's rebounded big time. Now it's his tour roommate who's struggling under the lights. Guess who he blames? The capital city of Ohio is our host this week for a tournament named in honor of a late, great Columbus pro. ESPN welcomes you to the Don Johnson Buckeye State Classic. The Denny's PBA Tour is back in Columbus, Ohio for the first time since 1990. Welcome to the 2008 Don Johnson Buckeye State Classic. And by the end of the day, we could have a new man atop the Player of the Year standings. Currently, Chris Barnes trails Walter Ray Williams Jr. by 10 points, a title today, and Barnes is in the lead. But he'll have to beat his tour roommate, the Big Fin, Mika Koivuniemi, to get to the title match. Semi number 2, Ken Simard in his TV debut, dueling the Big Nasty, 6'5", Wes Malott. And we welcome you to ESPN's live coverage. Rob Stone and 13-time tour titleist Randy Peterson with you. And after today's event, just 3 more stops left on this season's Denny's PBA Tour, but so much remains unresolved. And take TV's show, for example, here today. Ken Simard started this week below the exempt cut line. He's above it for now, trying to remain that way. And Chris Barnes has now fought his way back into the Player of the Year race. It would be the first time he could win that title. And he opens up today with a, it looked familiar match. 3 weeks ago, he and his tour roommate battled in El Paso.
Yeah, the tour's version of the Odd Couple.
That's right.
These two, it's good, Rob. These two go at each other like an old married couple. Barnes complains about Mika's bathroom time. Mika says Barnes is cheap. The last time these two squared off on television, Mika said, "Randy, I get bye in the first match I bowl against Chris Barnes." But Barnes had something to say about that. He said bye-bye to Mika and shellacked him 240 to 198. Barnes then went on to win his 9th title against Tommy Jones. Today, Mika looks for a little payback.
Today, Chris Barnes making his tour-high 9th television appearance. He gets more FaceTime than you and I do. And if you like power and high rev rates, semi number 2 is right up your alley.
Yeah, right you are, Rob. No power outage in this matchup. On paper, it looks like Bruce Lee taking on the next Karate Kid. And first-timers don't always fare well on television. I think it's a big advantage for the big, nasty Wes Malott.
The Denny's Player of the Year race continues to be a massive focal point. Right now, Chris Barnes sits 10 points behind Walter Ray Williams Jr. Second place finish today. He's only 4 back a title, and he's in the lead by 4 points. It'll be the Big Fin and Mika Koivuniemi starting us off today. This is 8th top 10 finish of the season. He won the opener this season, the Daido Japan Cup. Since then, he has finished 3rd twice. He's in the midst, though, of a 3-game televised losing streak. The only person and the only thing he figures he can blame it on is his roommate, Chris Barnes. Says, I can't find another reason for it. 10-pin, party in the pit. That's how I like to start.
Mika also said that he wasn't going to cut his hair until he wins another title.
It is getting rather shaggy, by the way. I was watching him during warm-ups.
Barnes says he's starting to look like a part of the Russian mafia.
And these two,
I don't know what that means.
But these two guys have a side bet going on. We'll tell you about that in a second. Here's Chris Barnes.
Well, it's only the first frame. Chris looks pretty disgusted, and, well, maybe he should. This is a solid 9. Watch the bowling ball go right by the 9-pin. A little too high in the pocket causes that, especially when you have the power of Chris Barnes.
He didn't seem all that confident on that single-pin spare pickup. Kicked it out on the far right side as we take a look at the head-to-head matchup, semifinal number 1.
Chris Barnes really turned up the heat in match play, out-averaged the other competitors on the telecast today.
This is 10th top 8 finish of the season, tops in the PBA. This time he leaves the 10.
And unlike last week, I don't think you're going to see the players have too much trouble getting to the pocket. And right now for Chris Barnes, it's all about knocking all 10 down when he does get there.
We saw a lot of low scores last week in Indy. Another single pin spare pickup for Barnes as he gives way now to the big fin, 6'4", 185, Mika Koivuniemi. Resides now in Heartland, Michigan, and I just said a word you should not say in the state of Ohio. Michigan. As long as I'm not playing the fight song of the Wolverines, I should be okay.
Mika's had a very nice year, beating Mike Wolf in Japan. He's captured the Japan Cup, his 5th telecast of the season.
Started off with a strike. No strike this time. You notice Mika with some loft to his toss.
Yeah, and we're going to get into a little bit about the lanes here a little bit later. As you see Mika, he's trying to go straight and hard, and in order for him to do it on a very high friction surface, which is what the players are bowling on this week, he goes about it the European way with loft and a lot of speed. That's the way Mika grew up bowling in Finland.
Picks up the spare, and why did they bowl that way in Europe?
Well, because the lanes tend to be a little bit drier, or at least back in Mika's heyday in Europe, the lanes were a lot drier, and that was the easiest way for him to get the ball down the lane, which was speed and loft. The ball can't hook if it's in the air, and Mika developed that style. He's had to kind of tone that down a bit here in the States because we put a lot more oil on the lanes.
And oil in the lanes, a major factor today. We'll talk more about that in our next segment. Oh! Spin it! Not going to drop it. Oh, it's still going. Talk about high rev rate.
Just a pinch high. Mika looked for a little help. Pin doesn't quite get all the way over to the 4-pin. The other thing about this high friction surface, it's going to break down much faster than a synthetic surface.
The 4th 9 spare we've seen already today. Just one strike between the two, and that was Mika opening us up.
Barnes has struggled on television, but he did redeem himself the last time he was on in El Paso. 58 career televised finals and only 9 wins.
That's a lot.
Beautiful form of Chris Barnes, and this one looks like he just finessed it just a bit at the bottom of the swing, didn't put enough hand in it. That ball never hooked up to the pocket going light.
Another spare pickup for Barnes. This one an 8 spare, though. Only 1 strike so far today. Barnes number 2 in the PBA World Point Rankings now and last season as well. This is how he got here. A couple 4-3 wins and then took care of Todd Book in the round of 8, 4-1.
A little more friction on that left lane. Chris Barnes told us last night, he says the right lane, lane 22, seemed to be a little slicker all week long.
So Mika steps up now here in the 4th. So we take a look at how he got here as well. Taking down Ronnie Russell in the round of 8.
Excuse me, Rob. A lot of 4-3 matches this week. Very, very competitive. You didn't see one player really dominate match play.
That one looked nice. This is 5th televised appearance of the season, second highest total of his career. He had 7 in the 04-05 campaign.
Throwing the ball straight and hard is not an issue for Mika. Being that tall with arms that long, real easy to create speed. His biggest downfall is when he has to throw it slower and hook it more. This type of reaction in the line that he's playing is tailor-made for what he likes to do. He's in his wheelhouse right now.
And another X for Mika. And he takes a seat, and Barnes gets ready to step up.
Now this one's pretty firm, and the high hard one right at the 1-3 pocket. Mika carries all 10, and that's our first double of the match.
Barnes fired up a little side bet on this one. This is like a WWE loser loses his hair, right? So the loser has to get a buzz cut and a Ric Flair-esque blonde tie-dye job up top, from what we've been told. I don't think Mika signed off on the contract, though. Whoa, sloppy, but drop them all.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's not going to sit well in the hotel room for next week. It's the last thing you want to do to your opponent is carry slop like this, but you know what? Chris Barnes says, Mika, all's fair in love and war, and I'll take it. I don't care how they go down, 10's 10.
So both now getting set to roll off doubles. We talk about their tour roommates. Mika picked up the tab on the hotel this week. Got a room, though, that only had one bed. It's a bit of a discussion point between the two. Kick it out!
Well, Mika's got his head down. I don't know if he was watching that, and it's probably a good thing because he's not going to like it.
Nice pin action there for Barnes as we go to the break as he sits on a 3-bagger. When we return, the conclusion of semi number 1, and we detail the unique structure of the lanes here today. It's more than just oil. These bowlers are battling. The Don Johnson Buckeye State Classic is brought to you by H&R Block. When you got H&R Block, you got people. By Denny's, home of the real breakfast made just for you. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit geico.com, and by Go RVing. Visit GoRVing.com for a free DVD. What will you discover? Go RVing. We welcome you back to ESPN's live coverage of the 2008 Don Johnson Buckeye State Classic here at the Sequoia Pro Bowl. And the surface of the lanes here at Sequoia Pro Bowl, part wood, part Guardian lane surface. For more, here's Randy.
Today on the Denny's PBA Tour, we're back to old school. We're bowling on a wood surface. And the reason why this lane looks like it has 2 different colors is because the first 22 feet of this lane has a protective surface on it called Guardian. Imagine it as being a big giant piece of Scotch tape to help protect the surface. Now, Guardian does not have an absorption rate. The oil doesn't seep into it like it does on wood. So what happens when you apply the oil pattern to this surface is the oil is going to move very quickly down towards the pins. The front part of the lane is going to dry up, and it's going to make it a little tricky to get to the break point. All right, let's take a look at how our 4 players will attack this 37-foot Viper pattern. Mika Koivuniemi, look for him to play the extreme outside part of the lane with speed and loft. The other 3 power players, they're going to start around 3rd arrow and wheel it to the right. But when that breaks down, look for the players to make a big move. Not a little one, but a big one. Some 10 boards left, they're going to get inside and they're going to wheel the entire lane. Mark Sabatini is in charge of the PBA lane maintenance out here on a week-to-week basis. He's the one that programs the oil machine that applies the named patterns. And if you want to bowl on a Viper pattern or any of the other named patterns, join a PBA Experience League.
Mika Koivuniemi down 8 as he begins his 6th frame. Help! It helps and kicks. 3-bag it.
We've got some serious pin action going on right now. Barnes stripping the 2-way. getting that messenger to come across and get the 4-pin. And here comes the head pin. It's going to take the 10-pin out. The 10 goes down like a keg at a frat party.
You know what we missed last week in Indianapolis?
I've got a feeling you're going to tell me.
You know what we lacked? What we did not have in our broadcast?
Does it start with ham and end in bone?
Yes, it does, sir. We were ham boneless in Indianapolis. A lot of great signs were out there. No one could raise them. We got a chance right now for back-to-back ham bones. I'm giddy.
It's okay, partner. You still got one more shot at it when Barnes gets up.
You know, I feel bad for these people who made these great ham bone signs, and they brought them out here and they can't raise
It's
them.
okay.
That's why I get upset.
We've got
Randy.
time. We've got time. Mika right here, in my opinion, that lane starting to break down, did not make the move. Looked like a pretty good shot off his hand, but because the front part of the lane starting to dry up a bit, that ball goes high.
3-6 spare pickup. Blast right through it.
All right, partner, you got another shot at it.
We do. So that was the left lane for Mika, and Barnesy rolls on over to the right lane.
Now, I don't want to rain on your parade, but the last two times up on this lane, he went light and light.
Stop raining. Signs.
Hey, Rob, check out the kid in the sombrero.
Hey, Randy, you know what I had for breakfast today?
Go ahead, tell me.
Green eggs and ham bone.
You are out of control, my friend.
Barnes' lead now up to 10, looking for 5 in a row. Have we named this yet? Is this? I think we got a name for it. I got a fax the other day for 5 in a row.
Yahtzee! I'll tell you what, he's carrying everything in the building. And you know, these two roommates, when one makes the telecast, he has to pay for the room all week long. And right now, at this rate, it looks like Chris Barnes is going to have to pay for yet another stay in a hotel room for him and his roommate Mika.
And actually, tonight, he's staying at Mika's house. They're carpooling back up to Heartland, Michigan to stay at the Koivuniemis. Mika try and get back into it. Yeah! Some bad intentions on that ball.
Well, now he's looking to set up the 10th frame with a strike of the 9th. Mika can strike out to shoot 247. Chris Barnes is in the 230s now. It can strike out for 267.
Next week, Randy, I'm excited. We head to my home state, Connecticut. We're in Norwich, Connecticut. The 2008 Go RVing Classic. Live coverage on ESPN next Sunday, 12:30 Eastern. I want to see a lot of ham bone signs in Norwich, please. Strike in the foundation frame.
And that's big. That's big because that will enable Mika to shoot 247 if he gets all 3 in the 10th. Chris Barnes still needs another hit to get into the 240s.
Barnes working off 5 strikes in a row.
Well, we've seen that before. Chris Barnes is
cameras.
One of the inventors of the balk, but you know what? Right now is a crucial time in this 9th frame.
He said he heard some cameras clicking.
It looks soft. The minute it left his hand, it looked slow. And that's the one thing on this surface, this high-friction surface, you have to keep the ball speed up. Chris, I know the thing that was going through his mind was don't get too firm. He got too soft.
Ooh! Almost picked it up.
Barnes can still win this, though. If he strikes out in the 10th frame, he'll shoot 232. Mika's in the high 220s. That would force Mika to get the first striking count. It's not over.
Not when you want to have an open frame, though, in the 9th.
You keep moving. It's gotta get.
Well, he used up all of his golden horseshoes in the first 8 frames. Chris Barnes looking to trip that 4-pin, doesn't get it, and now he's in trouble.
Now down 5.
Mika's just a good solid 10th frame away from seeing a new hairdo on his roommate Chris Barnes. Remember, the loser of this match has to cut all his hair off and bleach it. Little blonde bleach job for Chris Barnes.
Needed that strike, but it may be too little too late. Well, Mika steps up. He struck in the 8th and the 9th. And max out at 247. Barnes is at 222.
First ball strike, and this is over. That puts him in the 230s. He just needs good count and a mark.
Six of his 9 frames have been strikes so far for Mika. Won't get it. And a bit of a challenging spare pickup here as well.
And that's a bad shot. That's the big tug job right here. Watch this. This ball never is on line. It's left of target. It's lofted about halfway down the lane. And now Mika leaves the 310. He must convert and get 8.
How do you go after this 310?
The best way is to get the ball to go just right of the 3-pin and have it deflect into the 10. It's got to have it.
Huge spare opportunity.
Nope.
No!
Barnes wins sitting on the bench.
Wow. It is going to be an interesting ride back home to Heartland, Michigan tonight for Mika and Barnes. Mika's still in his seat. Barnes hasn't even gone over yet to him. Doesn't know what to say. Borderline despondent. Mika Koivuniemi literally had it. And as we take a look at our CLR clean sweep, 222, 213. It goes to Barnes. We go in the 6th frame. Here's Barnes.
And Barnes, very fortunate 5-bagger that he carried because of hits like this.
Up next, we get you set for our second semi and flashback to 1972 for one of the most famous televised bowling moments in history. This is the PBA on ESPN.
Chris Schenkel and Billy Waylew here. Ritker's victory over Mike Durbin puts him into the final game against Don Johnson.
If this one doesn't thrill the audience, Chris, you just don't like fried chicken on Sunday, I'll tell you that.
Finger licking good is the theme of this tasty dig from the PBA archives. The 1970 Tournament of Champions, the legend Don Johnson's 299 game. He battled Dick Ritker for the title, both opening with the front 6 before Johnson pulled away to PBA history. Chris Schenkel, Billy Waylew take you way, way back.
Gentlemen, he carefully looks up at the overhead sheet, and you know the story. He needs exactly 1 strike.
Chris. 25,000 in his pocket. 10,000 on this ball. Solid 10, Chris. Unbelievable.
And the very last ball, Don Johnson, a tremendous hit. There's Marianne Johnson.
I'll give this to the wife because I think she's going to get it before long anyway. I might as well give it to her now.
There you go.
But this trophy is something that I'll cherish for the rest of my life. Really.
Better than a Kokomo basketball victory. You know that. Now go on, Don. Don Johnson, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me tell you, that's a kiss right there. It's getting a little sweaty over here. Don could bring it, huh? Head to PBA.com where you can join the more than 12,000 people who've already joined bowling's digital destination, Bowl Space. At Bowl Space, you can share stories, videos, and pictures with bowling fans from around the world. It's easy to join. Simply click on the Bowl Space link at PBA.com. PBA on the road with Go RVing. Next week, Norwich, Connecticut, the Go RVing Classic. From the Norwich Bowling and Entertainment Center, this is the PBA's inaugural event in Norwich. Live coverage on ESPN, 12:30 Eastern. And then the tour returns after a week off. Special 1 p.m. spark time. The Geico Classic from the AMF Babylon Lanes in West Babylon, New York on Long Island. Looking forward to that trip. Up next, semifinal number 2. Ken Simard making his television debut versus the big nasty Wes Malott. 2 high-rev guys take to the wood next. Plus, we'll tell you about Ken Simard's unconventional lucky charm when we return. Welcome back to Columbus, the Sequoia Pro Bowl. Last year it hosted the Motel 6 Roll to Riches, and our thanks to Tim Voss, the proprietor here at Sequoia Pro Bowl. A great event he's put on all week long here in Columbus. Last week, there's his wife. Last week we asked you on our Motel 6 question, what bowler would you like to see competing in the 2008 Motel 6 Roll to Riches? And your winner of a spot in the Motel 6 Roll to Riches field, Parker Bone III, getting 60% of the vote. So he joins Sean Rash, Michael Haugen Jr., Norm Duke, Doug Kent, and the winner of the 65th Denny's U.S. Open winner. And they'll all be rolling in Orlando in April, the Motel 6 Roll to Riches. Take a look at your updated bracket. Chris Barnes, 222 to 213. Over Mika moves on to the final where he'll face either Ken Simard or Wes Malott. This is Ken Simard, the highest rev guy on the show. Whips it in, kicks the 10.
That's some serious stuff that he gets on a bowling ball. Still looking for his first tour win.
Native of Simpsonville, South Carolina, lives real close to Tommy Jones. Simard's best finish in a Denny's PBA Tour event prior to the season, a 12th place finish in the 60th U.S. Open back in '03. That look just says, happy to get that frame out of the way.
First time on television, it's hard to keep your lunch down. Kenny Simard, 28 years of age. I think that Kenny, if he can get through this first season for him out here on tour, he's going to have a bright future.
Chris Barnes was talking about Simard, saying this may be the week that he changed his career. You know, let's kind of remember this one, but don't forget about Wes Malott. 3 tour titles, including one this season. He won in Medford, Oregon. Kicks everything.
Remember, we talked about the oil pattern and where the guys were going to be playing, and we said once the lanes broke down, they were going to be way inside. And absolutely, these guys are in between 4th and 5th arrow now with only 1 game bowled and a little bit of practice. So lanes have broken down. It's a very high-friction surface. It's a very scoreable surface. And this type of surface is right up Wes Malott's alley because he likes to be firm. He likes to throw it. And you can do that on this wood surface with Guardian the first 22 feet of the lane.
Great start from Malott. Boy, that left plant foot is almost in the left gutter.
And there's quite a bit of angle being created in the front part of the lane in the heads, or the head area. Wes Malott's going pretty much sideways, and Ken Simard's going to do the same thing. Watch the snap of the wrist right at the bottom of the swing.
Great strike for Simard.
That's good stuff.
And there's a look at his fiancée, Amy. They're getting married June 15 in Clinton, South Carolina. She is the good luck charm, and she doesn't even know it. She saw him bowl in 3 regionals. He won them all. He said to us yesterday she doesn't really know too much about this bowling thing. A 300 game would be lost on her. And Amy and Ken's parents drove up yesterday, 7.5 hours to see him roll.
Pick up.
How's that? That ball looked like somebody kicked it left when it got to about 40 feet. Kenny Simard's got a huge mitt. I mean, a huge hand. His span is over 5.5 inches. And look how he loads up and then unloads on it at the bottom of the swing. Remember, the circumference of a bowling ball is 27.5 inches. Kenny Simard's hand, over 6 inches. He covers almost a quarter of that bowling ball.
His golf glove size, an XL, he was telling us, at least. Wes looking for 3 in a row. Finding 3 in a row. Malott was pushed all week here in Columbus. He has rolled a tour-high 12 7-game matches this season. He was pushed to 7 games in the rounds of 13, 16, and 8 this week. Simard, 1 of 5 to bowl a 300 game this week. Chris Barnes, who's already moved on to the final, one of the others as well. Both of them did it in the round of 32.
Rob, look what's on the horizon.
I didn't want to say anything. Looking for 4 in a row.
All right.
No ham bone, Rob?
I'm refusing to even say the term.
All right, well, West goes just a pinch light, leaving the 2-4. Wes Malott was trailing in every match. They all went the distance, 4-3. Kelly Kulick was ahead in their match before Wes finally won and made it to the show. So he was tested.
All right.
We're going to take a look at how his opponent, Ken Simard, got here. This is fourth top 15 finish of the season. His best finish coming in 12th, and he's done that twice.
Trailing against Steve Harmon in the round of 8, actually double guttered in one game, came back and still won. Uh-oh. Now, see, if I were to do that, I would be in traction for about a month.
You'd be bowling lefty.
Now, you see that? His eyes are looking down at the target, and then all of a sudden they go down to the foul line. And I'm not sure what went on there, but
hey, when in doubt, pull out.
there's a little strength in this this body here that Simard has.
Punishing those pins. And I like that. That was a veteran move from a guy who hasn't rolled a whole lot on the PBA. On the approach, didn't like what he saw. Get on out, son, and regroup.
Kenny Simard has chosen to finish on the left lane. He likes the left lane better than the right. He feels that the right lane is a little bit squirrely down the lane, and because he was the number 9 qualifier and Wes was the number 12 qualifier, Kenny gets choice of starting lane.
Simard looking for a ham bone.
Pick up.
Oh!
Let's go, guys. Come on.
Ham bone!
Kenny Simard is going to get a mittful. Watch this. He goes pick up, and what he means is, come on, let's create some friction. And then when the ball does get there, nothing but shrapnel.
Second ham bone of the day. How many did I predict, Randy?
I don't know. I can't remember. 4? 3? 3?
3.
All right.
Malott working off a spare, down 12. Man, these pins picked the wrong lanes to be in this week. And this morning, Malott and Simard are punishing them. And Malott, fighting a bit of an illness, really came up on him Friday. We talked to him this morning about it. Says he's fired up some new medicines today, kicking in, and it's actually maybe a good thing, helps him slow down, which is really his biggest flaw. Going too fast, that arm swing gets ahead of his feet.
I'll tell you what, Rob, that shot was so sweet. I just got a cavity. Just cut the lead to 2.
Make sure to brush and floss. Semi number 2's conclusion when we return. Plus, we'll tell you about Simard's overzealous eating patterns. The Don Johnson Buckeye State Classic is brought to you by Atonic, the official footwear of the PBA. Atonic, first one there. By Motel 6, official lodging partner of the PBA. By H&R Block. When you got H&R Block, you got people. And by the United States Bowling Congress, ensuring the integrity and protecting the future of the sport of bowling. Bowl with us. Back in Columbus, Ohio, sitting on the banks of the Olentangy and the Scioto Rivers, and there's a look at a couple lucky fans who've been upgraded to the Aaron's Dream seats, and
Another sombrero, Rob.
it's awesome. Sombreros, ham bone signs. Again, if I could get a Mexican wrestling mask, a la my new favorite movie, Nacho Libre, I'd really, really be excited.
This I have to see.
Here's Simard. Looking for 5 in a row. Drops the nickel! Yahtzee! Now he is fun to watch.
Take a look at our Etonic Edge. We'll show you how Kenny Simard creates all that power. First of all, it helps when you have a huge hand. Now watch and learn. Notice how he works the inside part of the ball. You can't even see any part of his hand there. And then at the bottom of the swing, you still don't see any hand. Look at the cupped elbow and the cupped wrist right there. And then he just unloads like he's throwing a yo-yo. And watch this. See the inside part of the ball. You don't work the outside part. You work the inside. That's leverage and that's power.
Simard looking to go for 6 strikes in a row.
I'll tell you what, it's a pretty impressive performance by a first-timer on television. It also helps when you have a reaction or a ball reaction that you're comfortable with. And Kenny Simard knows that he doesn't have to thread the needle. He has a little bit of room left or right if he gets it off his hand properly.
Well, to get that kind of reaction, that kind of strength, it's important, Randy, to feed the machine. Simard's hobbies? Golf and eating.
Yeah, he's a Carcarius, a great white, an eating machine.
He said he eats 5 to 6 times a day. Why? Well, he loves the taste of food. This week, the food, Chipotle. Every day for lunch, he hit up Chipotle. It's been working for him, so he rolls with it. His favorite meal, shepherd's pie. If he wins today, that's what he's going to be asking Mom for. And he has a nice little lead right now. Malott here in the 7th, looking for a 3-bagger.
Be right.
Leaves the 10.
Oh my goodness.
Great pitch right there. Malott was looking to get back into this.
Good shot.
Wes is not shy when it comes to putting some curve on a bowling ball. Same thing with him. He works the inside part of the ball. He's got a little bit more flip and rotation. He's changed his spare release as well. He actually used to throw a full roller release at spares. That's where the ball tracks between the fingers and thumb. Got away from that when he opened up a blister on the inside part of his thumb in Vegas a few weeks ago. Actually now went to more of a conventional release, shooting a spares, a little more end over end type of rotation.
With that blister, he's even shooting some lefty spare pickups.
Well, he did that in Vegas because his thumb was so sore he couldn't hardly hold on to it.
Down 12 as we begin the 8th. Malott, strike, spares, last 3 frames.
Big shot there. Setting himself up for the 9th and 10th frame. If he strikes out, he can shoot 257. Kenny Simard in the high 230s right now. Kenny Simard controls his own destiny. He can strike out 8th, 9th, and 10th for 269 and bowl for his first ever title.
Boy, shrapnel flying all over that 10 and missing it.
That is probably one of the fastest ringing 10s you'll ever see. When we get a replay, watch the second pin to the right, the 6th pin. Watch how fast it goes around the 10.
I mean, the breeze could have knocked it over.
The vortex that ball created when it went through the pit could have sucked it right off the pin deck.
Nice use of the term vortex, by the way.
I had to get it in this week, buddy.
I think we got a ball return.
Very impressed with his composure. Extremely impressed with the job that Kenny Simard's doing right now. He's leading by 11. He knows the score. He knows that if he strikes out 9th and 10th frame, he will shut out Wes Malott.
This is his first TV appearance in his 67th career event. Again, Simard rolled a 300 this week in the round of 32, the second of the season and 18th of his career.
Pick up.
Oh, I love seeing that 10 pin get kicked the way it's been punished today.
Wes needs to strike out now, getting the 257, force Kenny Simard to finish.
Simard can max at 258. Could have been an ugly leave.
Like we did.
Wes wants to put pressure on his opponent. He knows he needs a strike here. This one drifts just a pinch high, tripping out the 4, leaving the 9.
Malott takes care of the single pin spare pickup like he has done all week. And Simard, watching this one, sitting in the catbird seat right now. Up 11 as we begin the 10th.
Oh, no.
Right through the nose. Kicks the 10.
And now the big nasty is in big trouble.
Awful, Wes.
That ball was never far enough right, left of target. And now with the spare here, the best he can shoot is 226. That would force Kenny Simard to get any mark. Kenny Simard on the cusp of bowling for his first ever Denny's PBA Tour title. He needs a mark. He chose to finish on the right lane, and now he's going to get his chance.
I really like the look of his nonverbals as well. Anytime he faced any form of adversity today, he either stepped back, handled it well, very calm, very controlled. Malott finishes off strong with the strike.
And I think that's a great point. Guys get on the show for the first time and they play up to the crowd. You know, they try to run them out and hoop it up. Kenny Simard hasn't done any of that. He's just getting up and taking care of business. One mark away from bowling for the title.
God damn, Kenny.
Eyes on a Brooklyn strike there at one point.
Well, he almost did the same thing Mika did in the last match, going high and leaving the 310. The good news is he kicked the 10-pin out. Now all he needs to do is convert here, and he will advance. If he misses this, we have a tie.
No miss and no mistaking. Ken Simard moves on to the title match where he will face Chris Barnes. And this a huge win for Simard on so many levels. His checkbook is certainly going to appreciate it. His confidence is going to swell with this. And also, this may but all secure him in the PBA next season as well. Remember, a win and you get an exemption. Simard rolls on. 237, 226 over Wes Malott. When we return, more history from the man this event is named for and how the PBA rolled here for a great cause earlier in the week. Simard rolls on. Don Johnson started 1972 just like he ended 1971 as a champion. In the famed Felt Forum in New York's Madison Square Garden, Johnson defeated George Pappas 233-224 for the U.S. Open title.
A mark here, $10,000. Is it?
It is. He's the winner. Really was smooth when he had to be, bud. He couldn't afford a bad shot there.
And this will make his 18th championship.
Don Johnson, U.S. Open champion. Congratulations.
Johnson, 1977 PBA Hall of Fame inductee, won 26 Denny's PBA Tour titles, twice the Player of the Year. And Randy, you have a tight connection with Don Johnson.
Well, Don Johnson, in my opinion, was right out of the Dick Weber mold. He was my coach. He was ahead of his time when it came to coaching. He was one of the nicest, finest human beings you'll ever meet. In fact, Don coached me once the 1990 season. I bowled the first tournament of the year, bowled awful, took the next week off, went to Vegas, met with Don, practiced for a week, and won the very next tournament.
His son Jimmy here, he actually won a tour title in 1990 and was given a commissioner's exemption for this event. There's Jimmy. We appreciate all he's done this week, and it has been a long week in Columbus for the PBA, but it's been well worth the effort. On Monday, the week here in Columbus got started off right with Carney Bowl, a charity to benefit Nationwide Children's Hospital for juvenile diabetes. There was also a youth bowling event where the Stars, the PBA, got a chance to help raise awareness and some money for children in need.
Today was just a great event with Jimmy Johnson taking care of the diabetics and his family, everyone coming out here together to support diabetes and people in need of insulin pumps and just trying to raise money for people that are in need.
Actually, Tony Reyes started the first Don Johnson Memorial Tournament, a regional in California over Labor Day weekend, and we started raising a little bit of money on that and brought the idea to Tim Voss here, the proprietor, and he pulled his insulin pump out. He's a diabetic, so that was like a match made in heaven. And
it was just so much fun to just watch them, you know, whether they threw it in the gutter or got a strike, they were smiling, and it was a lot of fun to see them have a good time.
Additionally, there was a silent auction for PBA memorabilia and a super raffle worth over $15,000. And the pros hit the lanes and threw a few trick shots. The 7-10 double cross from Patrick Allen and Tommy Jones. All the proceeds going to Nationwide Children's Hospital.
It's a great way to kick off the event. Everybody's really excited. The fans are into the fun night for the players. Great cause for charity. And just a really good way to get going on a week. You know, it's been a long time since we've been to Columbus, and the players are really close to Jimmy Johnson and his family. So it's a great night.
Today's been organized chaos of a charity event. It's our first year running it, but it's benefiting Children's Hospital Columbus, and the tour coming back here and getting a charity involved. It's really turned out well. We've had a great turnout. The place is packed, and everybody's having fun.
And earlier today, Jimmy Johnson and family presented a check to Nationwide Children's Hospital for juvenile diabetes for over $30,000. Terrific week and great work for a wonderful cause here in Columbus. We thank the Johnson family and everybody associated with that. And speaking of checks, $25,000 on the line next. Our title match tees off when we return. Chris Barnes versus Ken Simard. Welcome back to the Sequoia Pro Bowl and the 8th ever PBA event here in Columbus. We welcome you to the 2008 Don Johnson Buckeye State Classic. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson, glad you're with us here on this beautiful pre-spring day here in Columbus. Take a look now at our Geico Championship recap. Randy?
All right, Rob, thank you. Semifinal number 1, Chris Barnes defeated Mika Koivuniemi by the score of 222 to 213. Mika opens in the 10th frame, and now you must cut off your hair.
Semi number 2.
All right, I'm getting there. Ken Simard, he's looking to defeat the big nasty Wes Malott. He does so by throwing the big wheel. Ken Simard's looking for his first ever victory.
And Simard will start us off here in the championship game. Oh, man, that is just wonderful stuff.
Spelled my name wrong. Ian, man. What's the deal?
I don't understand it. Simard came into the week 41st in the PBA World Rankings, below the exempt cut line. Try on a 7-10 for size.
You know, there's only been 3 made in the history of television, and if anybody can make the 7-10 split, Kenny Simard can, because he can throw it about 28 miles an hour at the 10-pin.
Last happened 1991, Jess Stayrook in Tucson, Arizona. Give it a go, Ken.
Oh, he's went for the 7-pin. Interesting.
I'm not sure that 7-pin's going to get up. So starts with an open frame. Here's Chris Barnes looking for his 10th title and 2nd of the season.
Chris Barnes makes a ball change, goes to something a little cleaner so it'll push down the lane a little bit farther. And you notice that he's made a big adjustment moving into where the big crankers are. But Chris, I think his only downfall moving in there is that I don't think he can create the same amount of angle through the front part of the lane that Kenny Simard and Wes Malott can.
You go back to semi number 1. It took Barnes a while to kind of figure out the lanes, spares in his first 3 frames, and then he rattled off 5 strikes in a row. So we take a look at our title matchup, and only 3 rollers this season have won multiple titles. Walter Ray Williams Jr., Michael Haugen Jr., and Mike Scroggins. Chris Barnes would join that list with a win here. Figured it out.
Sign down lane. Sign down lane.
When Chris Barnes moves in and tries to open up the lane, he does it with his setup. He'll take his right foot, put it behind his left foot, and get it angled towards the 10-pin, open up his body a bit, and then walk a little sideways to the foul end. That's what gets him to open up his hips and feed the ball to the right.
Simard rolled a 300 in the round of 32, as did Barnes. Here we go. Hello, pocket. Looking to become the first bowler to win a Denny's PBA Tour title after earning their exemption via the PBA Regional Tour. Won the regional points race in the South region, one of 7 regions in the country. Told us yesterday, style overpowering but lacking a bit of touch. Touch him off. His touch is a fist to the face. Man. Here's Barnes in the third, working off a strike. Leaves the 10, and Barnes has done some footwork already over here.
Well, he's made a big adjustment from semifinal number 1 to semifinal number 2. Watch this against Mika Koivuniemi. That's about second arrow out to about the 5th board. Watch this here. This is this match now. That is about the 23 board out to about 8, 9, 10. So big giant move. That's what it took this week. And remember, we talked about it at the top of the show. High friction surface. When the guys did make a move, it was a big move.
And again, if Barnes is to win this title, he will now be on top of the PBA Player of the Year points list. We talked to him yesterday about it, and he said, you know, with 4 weeks to go, I figured I need to make 2 shows and win once. So he's made one of the shows. He may get that win right now. We'll talk about Walter Ray Williams Jr. here in just a second.
Get long.
Through the nose. Williams' lead has now been cut to 4. And interesting, this week, looked like he had a neck issue bothering him here in Columbus.
Well, right now, Chris Barnes is going to have a big pain in the neck trying to shoot this big split because, again, we talked about him not being able to create enough angle. And when you're that deep on this oil pattern and this surface, you have to get the ball going to the right. That time it didn't happen for Barnes.
Looking for his first split conversion of the week.
Hook.
Oof.
A big opening for Kenny Simard, looking for his first ever title. This is the way you want to go into it.
Barnes with the 16-pin lead, looking for title number 10 on his resume. Welcome back to Columbus. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson with you, and we will be with you till the conclusion of the title match of the Don Johnson Buckeye Classic. Chris Barnes taking on Kenny Simard. Simard up 16, looking for a 3-bagger here in the 4th. Also looking for his first ever tour title.
Push.
Through the nose. Oh my.
Get it.
Uh-oh.
In front of the bar return.
Well, just when Kenny Simard could have taken advantage of a great break, he gives it right back to Barnes, and now he's got to make a big move. Look for Kenny Simard the next time he's on the right lane to be standing in front of the ball return.
Going after the big 4. So he's had the 7-10 and the big 4 in the title match.
The 7-10 was a pocket hit. That time, that ball just breaks loose and goes high. But the good news for Kenny Simard, he's only trailing by 2. Put it behind you, make the adjustment, and make good shots.
Trying to become the 77th bowler in Denny's PBA Tour history to win a title in their TV debut. Good recovery, Kenny.
Now that's rolling dirty. Watch this. Head pin to the sidewall. Going to come over here and say hello to the 10 pin with another friend. Get out of there.
Barnes after an open frame 8 here in the 5th.
Barnes makes a ball change on that right lane, going to something that's a little bit softer in terms of reaction, something cleaner. And that ball just doesn't have enough gas to get back to the pocket. Trying to play the same line, but he's looking for a little bit weaker type of bowling ball so that it won't read the front part of the lane. It'll get down to the back part of the lane and recover. That one just didn't have enough when it got back there.
Now he has the 2-8 sleeper to deal with.
Rob, I got to be honest with you. Kenny Simard is in a good spot right now because when Kenny's ball reaction does something that he doesn't want it to do, for example, the last shot where he went high, he just moves left, and he just keeps banging on it, and he just keeps opening up the lane. That's what the lanes or the oil pattern has changed to. For Chris Barnes, he's going through transition right now where he's changing bowling balls, he's changing line. I think Chris is at a disadvantage.
But Barnes up 2 right now.
That's better. Yes!
Drop and give me 10.
Yeah! Okay!
ESPN and ABC fire off 2 NBA games your way later today. First, 3:30 Eastern on ABC. Dirk Nowitzki, Jason Kidd, and the Mavs take on somebody's LA Lakers.
That's right.
They are on a roll. Then at 8 Eastern on ESPN, Carmelo Anthony and the high-octane Nuggets offense take on Tracy McGrady and the surging Rockets from Houston. NBA Sunday on ESPN and ABC.
You know what my favorite type of beef is, don't you? Kobe. Good shot there. He made the adjustment, made a great shot, leaves a flat 10. But again, he's now in the pocket. Remember, I said he was going to make this adjustment. Look at him standing in front of the ball return. And for those of you at home that are saying, my God, how's he able to do that? Well, guys that hook it as much as Kenny Simard, they do it all the time. They practice it all the time because they have to get in there to find any kind of oil. I mean, that's old hat for him. His next adjustment is he's just going to bang on it harder. He may even loft it a bit more. We saw Robert Smith earlier in the season when he got that deep, started lofting it over the gutter cap, trying to delay a hook. Kenny Simard's no stranger to doing that.
Speaking of Robert Smith, Chris Barnes said to us yesterday that Simard is like Robert Smith without the injuries.
Well, he tears up an oil pattern just like Robert Smith does.
Again, it leaves the 10. Now, how do you try and fix that, Randy?
Well, it's all about the entry angle into the pins, and when you start making adjustments and moving deeper, watch how late the ball comes around the corner. It's about 45 feet down the lane before it starts to face up the 1-3. Kenny Simard has to keep doing what he's doing. He's in the pocket. He just has to keep making good shots, make his spares, and wait for that ball reaction to change just enough to carry the corner pins. Chris Barnes, another ball change. The only good news for Barnesy, he gets to finish the match on the left lane.
That's where his only 2 strikes have been in this title match.
Yes! There's a pretty good move there. You notice he moved a big giant step back to the right and just went with the straight BB right at the pocket. Watch this. That's a good 10 boards to the right at the arrows. That ball didn't turn over a whole lot. Let's see how much confidence he has in that shot the next time he's up on the right lane. Back to the inside part on the left lane. This one he's going to throw it right and wheel and deal.
Push, push.
Barnes clears the dance floor.
Yes!
And this is quite a performance by Barnesy, who quite honestly is not playing his A game right now. He's trying to open up the lanes on one side, trying to go straighter on the other lane.
Oh! Yes! Yes!
And he's just getting it done with sheer talent.
That's 3 in a row for Barnes. Simard in the 8th. Yeah! and he leaves one standing in the gutter. Simard is fun to watch.
Kenny Simard,
strike.
Excuse me, Rob. Kenny Simard has missed the pocket one time in this entire match in the fourth frame, standing in front of the ball return on the left lane so he can get deep enough to get his bowling ball started in what little oil is left in the front part of the lane. He can strike out for 210. Chris Barnes, however, can strike out for 233. Right now, do or die for Kenny Simard.
Oh my God! Kenny just killed the pins!
What a performance by Kenny Simard. I'll tell you what, if you're not impressed with this guy, then you should turn the channel. I can't remember the last time I've seen a performance for a guy that's making a televised finals for the first time.
Barnes said of Simard yesterday, we'll look back and say this is the week Kenny Simard turned his career around. But it's Barnes in the driver's seat right now for his 10th tour title.
What an adjustment, what a gutsy move for Chris Barnes on that right lane. He defied the laws of average, went completely the other side of the spectrum, moved to the right, said, you know what, I'm just going to bring it straight and hard on this right lane. Now he's looking to win his 10th title. Well, he got some breaks like that in the first match against Mika. He needs a spare 9 to shut out Simard, and this would have given Kenny Simard the biggest break in his bowling career. Instead, Barnesy he bumps that 4-pin out, leaves himself with only the single pin 9 to cover.
That 4-pin, the difference. Takes care of the single pin, gets the spare in the 10th. One more toss.
Hey, Rick.
9 or a strike wins as Barnes asked for a re-rack. He's had some psychological battles on television this season. At one point had a 7-game losing streak on television, but since then has really bounced back. He gets 9 or a strike, and he is your winner and on top of the Player of the Year standings right now. And Ken Simard pops up off his chair, and he's got more than a fighter's chance in the 10th.
He needs all 3 in the 10th to win by 1. Chris Barnes gave him just enough of an opening. Let's see if it comes back to haunt him. What a situation for Kenny Simard. First ever career title on the line. He needs all 3 in the 10th to beat one of the best players out here on tour. Anything less, Chris Barnes when sitting on the bench. A double and 9, we have a tie.
One down!
Could this be another colossal Chris Barnes blunder in the 10th frame? Standing in front of the ball return, that little shuffle step. Look at Kenny Simard not holding back, ripping the cover off of this ball. 6-pin just crushes a 10.
If that ball return wasn't where it is, Randy, would he be even further to the left?
No, he's in a good spot right now. He would just be further back on the approach, using his normal approach.
Needs 2 strikes to win. This one will give him 4 in a row.
A look of dejection on Chris Barnes' face. He knows that he gave Kenny Simard the opening. Look out.
Not enough, but a game effort from Ken Simard in his first ever televised appearance parents pushed a great vet to the brink. And Barnes wins twice today, sitting down. Crowd on their feet. What a wonderful, wonderful title this was.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Cocoa Butter looking after me this week, I guess, huh?
Chris Barnes, multiple season titles for the first time since '99. And he takes the Player of the Year lead with just 3 events left. Barnes takes tour title number 10. We'll be back to wrap it up from Columbus after this.
It all comes around sometime.
The Don Johnson Buckeye State Classic is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit geico.com. By CLR, all kinds of dirty, one kind of clean. By Go RVing, visit GoRVing.com for a free DVD. What will you discover? Go RVing. And by Denny's, home of the real breakfast made just for you. Back in Columbus, Chris Barnes winning tour title number 10, and the big toss came in the 9th, and it is our CLR clean sweep. Gave him a ham bone and a very important strike as he was able to fend off Ken Simard, our winner, standing downstairs with Randy.
Thanks, Rob. Chris Barnes, congratulations on your 10th victory, and you're now at the top of the list of the Player of the Year race. How does it feel?
Well, that feels great. Now we've forced Walter's hand. He's going to have to make a show, but he always does, so I figure I'll have to make another one.
Now, Chris, I got to ask you, 10th frame, you get up, you need 9 to seal the deal. You leave the 2A10. What must have went through your mind when that happened?
There's a little bit of knot again, but really it felt like things were going my way all day. The lanes are hard. It's not easy to throw a 3-bagger. That's why the scores are what they are. Cocoa Butter must have been looking after me today. It's pretty ironic. Don Johnson was a large part of Columbia 300 and what made that company, and to now be a part of that company and to win his tournament, it's a special day.
Congratulations, Chris.
Thank you.
For the second time this season, Chris Barnes on top of the Denny's Player of the Year standings. Next week in Norwich, Connecticut for the Go RVing Classic. Live coverage 12:30 Eastern on ESPN. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Randy Peterson and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Rob Stone. Coming up next year on ESPN, it's the 2007 International Speed Challenge. Chris Barnes takes title number 10 in Columbus.